You see Nick Nurse, the handshake, and Ken Maurer, the hug. So much respect for Nate Bjorkgren, and Adrian Griffin coming over to Nate Bjorkgren as well.
That buzzer put an end to the Toronto Raptors 2020-2021 season. You know the saying, oh, how the mighty have fallen. There will be no playoff run this year, for the first time in a long time. 27-45 record, 12th place in the Eastern Conference. It warrants a couple of minutes of conversation with Matt Cullen from CBC Sports. Matt, great to see you on this morning. We're only 2 years out of the NBA championship. What happened?
Heather, something just doesn't feel right, does it, with the Raptors not in the playoffs? It's the first time in 8 years that the team has missed the postseason. And I was thinking about this all morning. How do you explain a season where so much happened, so much adversity took place? But for me, there are two major storylines that explain what happened this year. And the first one is the relocation to Tampa Bay. And we all know the Raptors were a great team playing at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto over the last couple of years. I got caught going down the rabbit hole looking at past seasons, and their records were great. 32 wins, 9 losses at home a few years ago, 34 wins, 7 losses the year before that. This year, Heather, playing at their home, quote unquote, in Tampa Bay, just 16 wins and 20 losses. Playing in Florida, away from home, in certain cases, away from family, that really hurt. And of course, the second part, and there are of course other storylines, but the second major one is the COVID outbreak. After a rough start to the season, the team really rallied. They were in the playoff hunt at one point, 4th in the Eastern Conference. Talking about home court advantage at one point this year in the postseason. But of course, we know of 5 players on the Raptors that were infected with the virus, 3 of them being very key players, and that led to that disastrous month of March where they had 1 win in 14 games. They were never really able to get it back on track after that. Certainly a very complicated season, and I'm sure many Raptors and their fans are happy to see it go.
And yet the future is not necessarily looking so bright. There's a lot of uncertainty, too, around that, Matt, and for the offseason, particularly when it involves Kyle Lowry, particularly when it involves Masai Ujiri.
Right. This is really one of the most intriguing off seasons the Raptors have had in recent memory, and it starts with Kyle Lowry. Heather, not much debate anymore that he is the greatest Raptor of all time in the franchise's history. He's a free agent. That means he can go and walk and sign with another team if he wants. Remember all of the talk around the deadline. Will he stay? Will he go? The half goodbyes, and then he stayed. So all of those questions come back again. And then speaking of possibly not being back, how about the man who built the Raptors, President Masai Ujiri? He is also a free agent. He orchestrated the championship team from 2 years ago. Remember that trade for Kawhi Leonard that sent DeMar DeRozan to San Antonio? A lot of Raptors fans didn't like it, but it turned into a championship. And he is the most coveted NBA executive on the planet right now. Will he come back? I want to play a clip from Fred VanVleet after the season ended yesterday. A little glimpse of maybe what the future might hold in Toronto. Let's take a listen.
He's been the focal point of everything that's been Toronto Raptors since I've been here. And, you know, Kyle Lowry is obviously the greatest Raptor of all time. And number 2 might be Masai. This is the pecking order of what he's meant, his leadership. He paid me twice, so you'll never hear me say nothing bad about him. And obviously we would love to have him going forward, but, you know, people land where they may, and he's shown no signs of anything else other than commitment towards us throughout this entire year.
But Heather, we know there's no guarantee until that pen is on the paper signing a new deal. There are a couple of massive storylines that will play out for the Raptors over the next few months. What about the draft? Where will they pick in the draft? It could be a top 5 pick. And then after that, who will they pick? So this could be another star player for the Raptors joining them next year. And then, of course, what about the situation where they will play? Will they be in Toronto next year? Will next fall, we be in a position to have regular cross-border travel again? Will Masai be here? Will Kawhi or will Kyle Lowry be here? Of course, all those questions lead right now to not many answers. But for Raptors fans, it's not a team that's rebuilding. And I think we can leave it, on an optimistic note. But lots of questions to be answered.
That's funny you mentioned Kawhi. I had a big discussion on the weekend about whether he should have stayed with Toronto, what his future path might have been with. But obviously, stay tuned, Matt, and thank you for all of that. Follow those for us and come back anytime to tell us any new Raptors developments.